it's Dmitry. And today we have two special guests. Twins, as I may say. This is Kershaw Tremor. As far as I remember, this model is not produced anymore, but that's not the point. Today we are going to speak about the sharpening after you receive the knife from the factory. Because, just as I said in one of my previous videos, those knives, well, they feel a certain lack of symmetry. Because today we are going to talk about the importance of the symmetrical cutting edge. Why it's important and how it affects the characteristics of your knife. We are going to use KO3 to sharpen them. Well, I sharpened one already, and now let's see what's the main difference between the factory sharpening and sharpening with our system. Okay, so now let's take a closer look at our twins. This one was sharpened with KO3. This one was sharpened at the factory. We have a microscope today, and let's check out the main differences between them and especially their cutting edges. Okay, let's check out what do we have from the factory. As you may see, the cutting edge looks like a saw. It is already damaged, I don't know by what, but the main thing here is that this knife, it will cut for sure, but it will not cut long. It will get dull very quickly simply because this angle and this width of the cutting edge, well, there is no symmetry here. We may see several dents of rust on the edge. Now let's see the other side. Okay, on the other side we have the same trace from the grinder. Several dents of rust. But the main thing that the width is changing. Width of the cutting edge is changing as we move the knife. It means that yes, the central line of the cutting edge is displaced from the axis of the knife body. Well, a small amount of lateral loads and the cutting edge will simply bend and we will have to resharpen it. So let's not wait when this situation will happen and simply try to eliminate all these mistakes that we have here. And now let's see the difference between the knife that we saw before and the knife that we have after sharpening it with KO3. As you may see, the roughness of the cutting edge decreased. Still we have this micro saw that will work with the material. And if we will check the both sides of the knife, we will see that now the edge is symmetrical. Well, if you will ask me, I will not choose between these two knives. I will simply make them look the same. And now I guess it's time to see how to achieve this kind of cutting edge with the equipment that we have today. Okay, let's see once again. You may see that the width of the cutting edge is varying from bottom straight to the top. And if we will check the other side, we will see the difference in width here and here. The same situation here and here. So, if we will try to sharpen this knife to make the angle of sharpening the same at every section of the knife, well, we will get the situation just like this. That's what generally happens when you use the grinder. But to make it work, we need a symmetry of this part of the cutting edge with this one. That's why we will begin with the part that is more narrow from here. Let's mark the cutting edge and try to reach the angle from the very first time. Okay, now we will mount the knife into the clamps. Now we are applying the masking tape to prevent any damage to the surface of the knife. And now we are installing the knife into the clamps. The steel is pretty soft. It's 8 chromium 13 vanadium. We are going to use MS1 stone. This stone has a bonding agent with copper. We will take the stone 100/80 as the most coarse one. This stone is sufficient for this kind of knife. Now let's try to check what angle do we have here. So just as I said, we are starting with the most narrow part from here, and we are trying to reach the cutting edge by getting to the right angle. Now we have 19.1. Let's see. Yeah, looks like we're here, but I guess the optimal angle will be somewhere around 20. The total angle will be 40 degrees. Okay, now let's start sharpening. Important thing about this knife that it has a small curve here, and when we are working with it, just to keep the geometry as it was, we are working with this edge of the stone. So we are tilting it a little bit, and by processing the metal with this part of the stone, we are removing the excessive material, but still we are keeping the geometry, the original one. Okay, 2 important tips. First one, do not sharpen your knife with any excessive pressure on the stone, because this may change the angle and affect the symmetry of the cutting edge. And another point, if you want a good symmetry at the tip of the knife, position it to the center of the rotation of the frame. This will help you to prevent the widening of the edge of the cutting edge near the edge of the knife. Also, please keep in mind that your stones shouldn't touch each other. Why it is important? Because the grains of the stone may get into another stone and infect it. Simply speaking, this stone is less coarse than the previous one, and if it will have the abrasive grains inside of it, it will leave the marks on the blade, and you wouldn't get a good sharpening with it anymore. You will not be able to extract this grain from the stone, so it's always better to prevent such situations, right? For this purpose, So it's better to store your stones separated from each other in a special case. You can do it by yourself or you can buy it somewhere. Otherwise, simply store them separated in different cases. Also, please don't forget to remove the burr every time you complete to work with a certain stone. Please remember to monitor the width of the bevel, because if you will make a mistake with a coarse stone, you will be unable to remove it with a more fine one. The point is that we are trying to reach symmetry, and we have to clean the removed metal pretty often to check, are we still reaching the symmetrical edge or not? Today we are using only 4 stones. The last one will be 7/5. And just a brief reminder for all of you, when we are reaching the last stone, we will change the angle for just 1 click. Okay, now before we start working with the last stone, just as I said, we are going to lift the shaft with abrasive stone for just 1 click. It's a little life hack, you know. We are not looking at the angle finder, we simply look here and we need to lift it for 1 click, just like that. That's all. You know, if you will check the digital angle finder, you'll see the difference in 0.1 or 0.3. You see, it doesn't matter. We just need to lift it a little bit to process the very tip of the cutting edge. That's the main idea. And now let's check the result of our efforts. Pretty different from what we began, right? Just as I said, everything is controlled just visually. The point is to make it symmetrical, so it will be more resistant against lateral loads. And of course it will cut much better when the knife is sharpened like that. Well, I guess that's all about the symmetrical cutting edge. Hope that tips that I gave will be useful for you, because they fit almost every knife. As you may see, now we have a clean cut and the knife looks much more beautiful than after the factory grinder. Please keep in mind that symmetrical cutting edge works better and longer than, well, just a factory sharpened knife. If you like this video, press like, subscribe. If you have any questions, I'll be waiting for you in the comments. See you next time. Stay sharp.